Today I'm joined by John Corr, and we're going to talk about our usual subjects: blockchain, fintechs, and Shoreditch. So John, could you give me a little bit of background? Where have you come from?
So my background's been working with big banks, big organisations, help them create $16 billion of shareholder value. People like Barclays, Corr in the energy sector, people like National Grid.
Wow. Okay. So with that background, when did you first discover blockchain technology?
Probably shame on me, somewhat late in the day. So I can remember when the web technologies came out with Tim Berners-Lee. And in the last 12 months, I've started to look at blockchain, which is probably as big an innovation, or maybe bigger than the innovations that the web technologies brought in the 90s.
And what in particular excites you about blockchain technology?
So there are two or three outside of just speculating on Bitcoin, which I'm not very interested in. But so for certain industries, things like smart contracts can take out in capital markets 50 to 95% of the cost and massively improve the service delivery compared to their current operating and business models. So that's quite exciting, and it allows you to do things like in energy trading, low-cost peer-to-peer trading, or the Internet of Things, maybe 10 to 20 billion devices trading automatically between each other in the next 5 to 10 years, all of which can be powered and enabled by blockchain technologies.
And here's a question to throw at you then. So that's what excites you. What problems are you witnessing at the moment?
Well, there's the normal ones around disruptive innovation. So if I go back to the late 90s, I'll probably say here is I was working with Kingfisher, who were looking at the impacts of the internet and the web, and what would that mean to Comet, to Woolworths, and to B&Q. Which companies should they dispose of? Which ones should they invest in? And it was all very new then. Even in the late 90s, people said the internet will never work or whatever, and it's not going to happen. So companies find it very hard to get their heads around new disruptive innovations. So the downside is if they don't, they go bust, like Comets and Woolworths. But then small, smart companies, so I was involved for Kingfisher with the purchase of Screwfix. I think they were turning around 40 million at the time, at the end of the 90s, and now turn over about 550 million a year. So companies who can get with the innovations and beat the competitors to it can grow massively. I guess that's what's exciting.
I was going to say, without giving too much away, because you're not getting paid for this, but what advice would you then give to those sort of companies at the moment? How do you phrase?
All right. So if you were the chairman or the CEO, say I was an asset manager or BlackRock, I think their market cap's about 55 billion. They've probably heard of blockchain. Have got a team around that. But if you're the chairman or the CEO or the CFO, if you took the potential to take 50 to 90% of the cost out, that would take the value of BlackRock down to zero or bankrupt them. So maybe that's a 1% chance, a 5% chance, or a 50% chance. Is that going to be in the next 12 months or 5 years? But if I were the chairman, then I would look very closely on what sort of business models become possible, how feasible are they, how much would they cost, how soon they are. There's a lot of people say blockchain's not going to happen for 5-10 years or never. Well, I think in the next 12 months there'll be massive, serious plays of showing how a global scale asset manager can put, say, $1 trillion worth of assets on the blockchain. So the future is near. Somebody says the future is already here, but in small amounts, which we might come on to when we discuss Shoreditch.
Well, I was going to ask then, so we find ourselves in Shoreditch. We're in a shared work environment. How have you found it? I see quite a lot of...
Well, absolutely brilliant. Well, as you can guess, I'm probably about 30 to 35 years older than 99% of the other people in the building.
And I'm a lot older than the others as well.
So I've got here, I'm the only person in the building wearing a tie. I'm a bit old school. So it's just brilliant because you get, well, one, the energy, the positive, people like yourself smiling, really upbeat. Plus this building is filled, so I was going to come probably the world centre is Silicon Valley for technology innovation, but in the world of blockchain, financial services, fintech, asset management, capital markets, Shoreditch is the global centre. So if you want to find the most innovative people thinking about doing things around the world of capital markets and fintech in the blockchain space, they're actually within 1 to 5 minutes walk of here.
Right.
Yeah.
And that is impressive because, I mean, again, as John's pointed out, there's many workspaces here. And, I mean, are you finding an overlap? Can you just nip next door and ask somebody a question if you know that they're in a similar space?
Well, there's that. Or bump into people at the coffee machine. You're like scouring on the internet globally to look at, who's got the latest technology on digital identity. You're at the photocopier or the coffee machine and say, oh, what do you do? Well, I'm a global blockchain expert in identity management. It's just like, hello, you're standing next to me. So the sheer talent that's in the building and nearby is absolutely astounding if you would like to do something innovative in the space.
Great. And just to wrap this up now, have you had any experience with accelerator programs or kind of startups? I mean, obviously you've dealt with startups, I'm sure, but the accelerators as such, have you...
There's good and bad in those. So some of those are just theatre or money goes in and it gets spent on wild parties and nothing much comes out of it. But the accelerators programs that are done really well help those companies get to market a lot faster and engage with potential financial backers or customers. And the ones that do that well help those companies lift off.
Right. Absolutely. Well, I think we'll leave it there for now because I know John's busy and he's got other things to do today. But John, thank you very much for your time.
It's a pleasure, Steve.